All right. So, who here has used Shadybucks? Awesome. Let's see.
Who hears from bureaucracy? Yeah. Who hears from Shadytel? Yay! I think they're busy installing all your phone networks right now.
Yeah. So, what is bureaucracy?
So bureaucracy is how it's the DMV of ToorCamp. It's you stand in line, you fill out forms, and you get beer. And it's very gamified, very fun, and we're located right behind Shadytel.
Yeah. Awesome.
Some people LARP being the phone company, we LARP being the DMV.
Yeah. So, speaking of LARPing, the phone company. So the Shadytel, if you don't know, provides the phone service here at camp. Kind of the origins started as like a ship posting parody Twitter account. We had some funny posters. But then TourCamp 2012 happened in Nia Bay, and there was no cell phone service there. So we were asked to provide some phone service there. So we actually got into providing real service and not just ship posting on the internet. So we made these SIM cards and, had shenanigans. This is the Shadytel that someone made. So that's a brief history of Shadytel.
So after the 2016, we realized that we had a shared kind of cabin space. We were on one side, Shadytel was on the other side. Somebody microwaved some food and it knocked down the phone network, so we had to go over and introduce ourselves and say hi and apologize a bunch. After that year, we decided we were going to collaborate the year after that, we started bureaucracy doing all the forms and stuff, and then we realized we were kind of two utilities and we should work together.
Yes, combine our monopolies. So we were discussing last night and trying to remember how we actually came up with the idea of Shadybucks, and I think the idea came from Astrid, who really wanted one of these Kerchunk machines.
Yeah, I woke up to text messages and just links to this machine, and so we designed the game around having a reason to buy this machine, which involved making physical little credit cards.
Yeah, this is the actual Chinesium instructions that came with the machine. You can get this off of Amazon. It's great. Yeah, and so we were talking with Astrid last night, and she said, I was surprised how easy it was to get fake credit cards made. And she was talking with a card manufacturer, and they weren't quite sure what we were trying to do. And then they're like, "Oh, so you're giving out, trade show swag?" And she's like, "Yep, that's it, trade show swag."
And so this was our first prototype.
But then.
So then I got a design template and made an actual real card that looks pretty legit.
So this is the Kerchunk machine in action. You have to rotate it to the right digit or letter that you want, and then Kerchunk it.
It's a very satisfying noise.
You want to say anything more about that?
Huh?
So you could get bold by chunking it twice, 3 times.
You can.
Get.
Bold text.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's how it broke.
Yeah. So it's delicate. Be careful when you Kerchunk this year. We're not entirely sure the machine still works, but we did bring it.
Yes.
So the way it worked last year was you would go to Shadytel and activate your card and then come back over to bureaucracy and do the Kerchunking part. So this year we'll probably do something similar if the machine's up.
Yeah, we actually had you Kerchunk at bureaucracy first because you put. That's how we knew your name. You had to put the name on it, and then we could encode it on the mag stripe. We'll talk about what's on the mag stripe in a bit, but let's see here.
2 weeks after that conversation, came up with the logo. We were doing all the night market, deer punk stuff. The deer punk theme, just digging through these messages, that came from Scotland originally. But we designed night market as a cyberpunk night market where you could spend your Shadybucks, buy, sell, and trade. You can use real money there too if you want, but Shadybucks is way more fun. And if you haven't been to TourCamp before and you saw all the easy ups kind of in a row near Shady Tell with the big other dome, that's where night market's going to be tonight and tomorrow night from like 10 to 2 a.m. All kinds of stuff. There's food. There's somebody's making ice cream. Somebody's making cookies. Lots of just like electronics and stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool. So shortly after we released this, there's a contest here, Titanium Chef, and an entrepreneur decided, who's right here in the audience, decided to set up a betting pool, among other things. And then a casino popped up.
And grilled cheese too.
Grilled cheese, yeah. So that was awesome. I remember, yes, they did buy all the poker chips available on the island. And this makes us kind of nervous because now we're getting into like, are we like a quasi currency, and like, do we have to like register with the state and all these governments and all that? And the answer that I am going with is no. We are a loyalty program. Now, there is a precedent for this. How many of you are familiar with Canadian Tire Money? All right, there's a few of you. So as it turns out, eBay actually, in their terms of service, I'll blow it up in a minute. This is an archive of their terms. One of the accepted payments on Canadian eBay was Canadian Tire Money. And apparently it is the most successful loyalty program, retail loyalty program in the world. So it is a rewards program. The plan was we would give you one Shadybuck per minute that you use the phone, or we would charge you one Shadybuck per minute to use the payphones. So the economy, there were like three things. We basically didn't want to make it a pay-for-play experience.
Yeah.
We didn't want, we recognize that the most precious resource at TourCamp is your time. And so the official unit of Shadybucks is a minute because we're the phone company, and that's how we bill. In 6-second increments, which is 1/10 of a minute. So a lot of people have asked, like, where do the numbers come from? And there's this international standard, ISO 7812, which is a numbering system for the identification of the card issuers, for blah, blah, blah. So the format of the number is broken down like this. So we have 89, which is the telecom prefix. Country code, 979, which is international premium rate. Then we have 8667, which spells out Tor. On the phone pad, and then the year, and then the account number and the check digit. So this numbering scheme actually is what real credit cards use. It's what SIM cards use. It's what airline tickets use. It's pretty universal. And as far as I know, no one is using the international premium rate code, so we're just squatting on that. So what's on the mag stripe? There's typically, so this is what credit cards normally use. So there's usually two tracks. This is track 2. So you have the primary account number, which is that number I just mentioned. Then there's, the expiration date. And then there's what's known as discretionary data. And this is basically used to prove that you had read the mag stripe. So this is what prevents you from just picking a random account number and making your own mag stripe. Now, there was a little bit of confusion last time because we wanted to have a CTF where you had to read the mag stripe. And so a lot of the mag stripes actually had duplicate discretionary data. And so part of the reason for activation was so that we could rewrite that and make that unique per card, so you couldn't just like forge anyone's card. Track 2 is more of the same, except it also has your name. It's alphanumeric. It has discretionary data too. So credit card transactions in the real world, you have an authorization process. I didn't realize this was animated. So basically, when you go to use a card, your card is authorized for a certain amount, and that guarantees to the merchant that you are good for at least that amount. And there's some reasons why it's done like this, but where it will commonly pop up is like with gas stations that will authorize your card for like $75, or if you're at a restaurant, it will authorize your card for an additional tip as well. Hotels do this as well. Normally, you don't notice this unless you use a debit card, and then that explains the difference between your available balance and your actual balance. So we actually mirror this as well with Shadybucks. You can do a pre-authorization. So for example, with the vending machine, it will pre-authorize for some certain amount. You can spend up to that amount. And then when you're done, it will actually charge your card for the actual amount that you spent. So we mirrored how this works. Basically, with the web API, we do have a nice front end on top of this. So basically, the structure is we have Postgres, which we chose for being able to do transactions, so doing things atomically, either everything succeeds or fails, so you don't get discrepancies in the account. Unfortunately, we could not express the constraint that the accounts must balance. The debits and credits must all sum up. That's what we were hoping to do. Didn't work out. Talk about that in a bit. We have a Redis cache. We have some web APIs. So it turns out it was kind of performant. In like a couple of days, we did 4.4 million transactions. I don't know what our peak transactions per second was, but it might be competitive. How many did we do? Oh, okay, all right.
That doesn't seem like the amount you could do with actual print.
With
With this number of arms available?
huh?
With this number of arms available?
Yeah. So something shady happened here. So here's the code that actually does the capture process. So we have this. With a transaction here. So if any of these, this is Python, so if any of these lines fail or throw an exception, everything in here will roll back. So we make sure that there's an authorization. We say that the authorization has posted. We subtract the amount from one account, we add it to another account, and then we insert a transaction record. And if this block completes, it will complete atomically, and everything should balance. Except there's a problem. So if you the data type of the amount is a decimal number with 2 decimal digits, and if you have a fractional cent, these two lines here will behave differently. Depending on whether you subtract half a cent or add half a cent. And that's when things suddenly no longer balancing out. So yeah, the 1 minute per Shadybuck thing is kind of out. We are announcing new for this year that inflation has hit the shady economy. But we have a stimulus plan, don't we?
Yeah, we do. 500 free Shadybucks for everybody at ToorCamp.
Woo! So last time we gave out a $50 or 50 Shadybuck welcome bonus for everyone. This year we're 10xing it. So officially we're kind of 10xing everything in the economy this year, both to, inject more activity into it and make it fun, and also to balance out some of the shenanigans that happened last time. So also new this year are these wristbands that we gave everyone. And these serve a couple of purposes. One, TourCamp needed wristbands too.
Yeah, they identify staff or attendee. Do not lose your wristband. Like, absolutely, that's how you get it identified that you belong here, that you paid to be here. Do not lose your wristband. But it's also your wallet, because your Shadybucks are on your hand.
Yeah, so we're adding Shadybucks to these wristbands. Actually, these were like, I don't know, 30 cents each or something. They were surprisingly cheap to get made. They are NFC. They are MyFair Ultralight C tags, which can do mutual triple DES authentication. So you can't easily clone it. I heard a story the other day about someone being able to clone the RFID tags on Disney World cups so they can get like free refills for life or
Yeah.
something. It's a bit harder to clone these. So once we authenticate that we're talking to the actual tag, the UID is used to link it to your Shadybucks account. It's also, you can format it as an in-def record. You could write arbitrary things and boop each other's wristbands for fun. The mutual authentication scheme goes like this. I'm not going to read from the data sheet. You can look it up. But basically, the way that we keep this secure is that all the keys are kept on our server. And then to make this happen, we have this app. The app asks the tag for a challenge. The tag sends that challenge over to the server. The server computes the response based on the triple DES keys. It sends that back to the app. It does a whole bunch of relays back and forth. And once this succeeds, the server gives you an NFC token, which is valid for a single transaction. So in short, try to hack us. Don't hack them, not the venue. Please, not the venue. Yeah, so the tags themselves are blank right now because we didn't want to go through and pre-write all of these wristbands. So we will be doing that and linking them with your existing Shadybucks account or giving you a new Shadybucks card and account starting later today, I think around 4 p.m.
After 4 p.m., go to the Shadytel booth.
Yeah, one other thing that I forgot to put in here. Yeah, so we got integration with the payphones working. So big shout out to Kit for that. He actually wrote, there he is. He actually wrote the software to activate the wristbands. He has a vending machine that will accept cards and wristbands. And if we get the phone network up, you will be able to use Shadybucks in the payphones, and it will do authorizations against your actual Shadybucks account.
If you have artwork you want to put in his vending machine, the vending machine lives at Night Market. Go talk to Kit.
I think we have like 1 minute for questions.
What was the variable type that you used for the fractional minutes in Python?
So it was an integer in cents, and the SQL type was a decimal type.
Okay, I want to use strings.
Huh?
I want to use strings.
You want to use strings?
You might want.
Oh,
That was the end of my question. Thank you.
okay.
Also wanted to mention, come to bureaucracy for loans, but like later.
Parker.
Are there any are there any legal like traps that you fall into if we do anything as a loyalty program that pushes us into like broker dealer territory?
I am not a lawyer.
Yeah, you got to go to lawyer camp for that.
Yeah. Do we have any lawyers in the audience?
Just asking what's illegal.
It's all fake. Actually, this goes back to one potential issue that we had. Turns out Google is a lot more aggressive in approving apps these days, and so I was concerned about whether they would actually flag it as a money transmittal app. So that's the reason that you have to sideload it. Also, they take forever to approve things these days. So that's our time.
One more.
Yep, sure. Huh? Yeah, so I got my first iPhone yesterday to try to do this. Everything is open source on GitHub right now, both the Shady Bank and the apps. And go to github.com/shadytel. So if you want to write the iOS app, I can tell you what APIs you need to use. I just don't have the time, nor do I have the iOS experience too. Yes.
How do you get Shadybucks?
Yeah, so there's a variety of ways that you can get Shadybucks. So we have authorized villages to hand out Shadybucks for doing various activities. RF Palace does it. You can get a loan from Bureaucracy.
You also, everybody gets 500 Shadybucks when you go turn your card on.
Yeah, you can also sell stuff at the night market. You can trade it for other people. You can, I don't know, be creative.
Just ask people.
Yeah.
Okay, one last question.
Are account numbers sequential?
Yes. Yeah, so that XXXX is a sequential number, and that is sequential, and then it's just the check digit. So there you go. All right. Thanks.
Thank you.